Have you ever noticed how some people can walk into a room, say just one sentence, suddenly everyone goes quiet? It's not magic, it's presence. And more often than not, it's built in silence. Some people talk endlessly, hoping to sound wise. But the truly wise know that silence often says more than words ever could. So what makes their silence so powerful? In a world that rewards noise, there's a rare kind of strength in staying calm, listening deeply, and choosing your words like a master chooses his weapons. There are people who talk non-stop, yet no one truly hears them. And then there are those who say very little, but when they do speak, the entire room falls silent. Their voice carries weight not because it's loud, but because it's measured, intentional, and rooted in clarity. One of life's most powerful lessons is knowing when to stay silent and when to speak up. The difference between a wise person and a reckless one often lies in a simple skill: the ability to control their mind, master their tongue, and act with purpose. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." And yet, in today's chaotic world where everyone seems to be arguing, judging, or constantly seeking attention through words, we forget this simple wisdom: the art of silence, of listening without reacting, is being lost in the noise. But it's this very silence that can become your greatest weapon, because those who can stay calm, observe without judgment, and listen deeply, they're the ones others respect. Why? Because self-control is rare, silence is rare, and in a noisy world, rarity stands out. But here's the real question: how do we train our minds to stay still? How can we turn silence into strength? And why did Stoic giants like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus speak so often about restraint, listening, and emotional composure? In this video, I'll walk you through 10 timeless Stoic lessons that reveal the hidden power of silence and show you exactly how to apply it to your life. Trust me, you don't want to miss any of these. Each one builds a deeper layer of emotional strength and clarity. If you're ready to level up your mindset, type in the comments, "I accept the challenge." Let's begin. Lesson 1: Mind control is the foundation of wisdom. Here's the truth: you may not be able to control the world, but you can control your mind. And that, right there, is the birthplace of all wisdom. It's where reason begins, where peace is found, and where clarity cuts through the fog of emotion. In moments of chaos, when life feels like it's spiraling and everything around you is out of your hands, the only power you truly have is the ability to guide your own thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor who ruled over millions, yet still like a humble student of life, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That isn't just poetic advice, it's a core truth of Stoicism. We spend so much of our lives chasing control, trying to manage what others think of us, worrying about things that haven't even happened, reacting to every insult or inconvenience like it's the end of the world. But here's the Stoic mindset: you can't control the storm, but you can control the sail. You can't stop the noise, but you can choose whether to add to it. Controlling the mind isn't about denying your emotions, it's about understanding them. A Stoic doesn't suppress or pretend they observe. They feel, and then they decide. This is not weakness, it's power, quiet power, and it's where everything begins. Mastering your mind, as we saw earlier, begins with awareness. But maintaining that awareness, especially in the face of strong emotions, is where true strength is tested. A Stoic doesn't deny emotions. They don't suppress anger, fear, or sadness. Instead, they observe emotions objectively, like watching clouds pass across the sky. They understand that emotions are temporary guests, but reason must always remain the master of the house. Anger may rise, but they don't let it dictate their behavior. Fear may whisper, but they don't allow it to shape their fate. So how do we develop this mental discipline? The answer lies in two core practices: critical thinking and mindfulness. Critical thinking acts like a filter. It prevents us from being easily swept away by emotional reactions or misinformation. When something upsets you, instead of reacting, instantly pause. Ask yourself, is this really important? Am I seeing this situation clearly? Will my reaction actually bring me closer to the outcome I want? These simple yet powerful questions act like mental brakes. They slow you down, helping you detach from the heat of the moment and respond with clarity instead of impulse. One of the most profound examples of this practice comes from Marcus Aurelius himself. As Emperor of Rome, he faced constant wars, betrayal, conspiracies, and heartbreaking personal losses. But instead of being consumed by bitterness or despair, he turned inward. He wrote Meditations, a personal journal, not intended for anyone. Elsewhere, he reminded himself, again and again, that external chaos matters far less than internal control. This is not just philosophy, it's training. And it ties directly into the second practice, mindfulness. Mindfulness, for the Stoics, was never about sitting on a cushion in a quiet room. It's the everyday ability to observe your own thoughts without becoming them. When a negative thought surfaces, pause. Instead of believing it, examine it. Why am I thinking this? Is it actually true? Can I see it from another angle? This reflective space, this inner pause, is where you begin to break free from unconscious reactions. It's where true emotional freedom begins. Throughout history, the wisest figures weren't necessarily the most intellectually gifted. They were the ones who mastered their minds. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they all had one thing in common. They didn't let the world dictate their inner state. Instead, they chose how to see the world, and that choice, that lens, changed everything. Because in the end, you can't control much in life. But if there's one thing you must learn to master, it's your mind. Everything else flows from that. Number 2, why silence is more powerful than words. Have you ever stepped into a room full of heated debates and noticed that the quietest person often holds the most influence? Or watched someone who simply listens, but when they finally speak, everyone stops to hear them? That's not a coincidence. That's the power of silence. Many people believe that to prove intelligence, they must speak often and at length. But true power doesn't lie in how many words you sit, lies in how well you choose them. A person who knows when to stay silent doesn't do so because they have nothing to say. They do it because they understand timing. They know the value of listening down to the impact of speaking only when it truly matters. The Greek philosopher Socrates is a perfect example. He was brilliant, but not because he overwhelmed others with arguments. What set him apart was his method. He listened first, then responded with clarity. He asked thoughtful questions, reflected deeply, and only then shared his insights. His ability to stay patient, to withhold immediate judgment, gave his words immense weight. He influenced not just individuals, but the very way civilizations would later think about knowledge and truth. When used with intention, silence is a force. It creates space. It commands respect. And when you finally do speak, people lean in, because they know your words are deliberate. In today's world where everyone's in a rush to speak, to post, to comment, silence has become rare. And what's rare becomes powerful. True listening is not just hearing what's said, it's picking up on what's not said, the emotions beneath the surface, the hesitation in someone's tone, the hidden motives behind their words. Those who master silence gain this edge. They don't get pulled into pointless arguments. They observe, they analyze, and when the time is right, they speak with precision and power. So, how do you begin to develop this ability? Start with something simple but often overlooked: active listening. The next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to plan your reply while the other person is still speaking. Instead, give your full attention. Notice the tone of their voice, the expressions on their face, the way they move or sit. Let them feel deep down that you're not just hearing with your ears, but listening with your presence. Because only when you truly understand where someone is coming from, can your response carry real weight. Silence, contrary to what many believe, is not a sign of weakness or hesitation. It's a mark of inner strength. It's the calm confidence of someone who has mastered themselves. And when you can command your own silence, you earn the quiet respect of others without needing to demand it. But silence must walk hand in hand with observation. Why? Because when you pause to observe instead of rushing to react, you don't just see the moment, you see the truth behind it. You begin to understand how people behave, what motivates them, and how situations unfold. Let's explore this deeper with the next lesson. Number 3. Observe instead of react. A world filled with loud opinions, quick tempers, and impulsive decisions. Those who win are rarely the ones who speak the most, but the ones who wait, watch, and understand. They don't jump to reply. They don't feel the need to prove themselves with every word. Instead, they observe carefully, quietly, and act only when the timing is right. Because the truth is, the world follows a rhythm that only the observant can sense. Rushed decisions lead to regret, but patience and stillness open the door to deeper insight. When you react instantly, the situation controls you. But when you pause to observe, you control the situation. A perfect real-world example. Warren Buffett, the legendary investor, isn't one to chase the market with nervous excitement. He doesn't buy and sell like a gambler. Instead, he waits. He studies. He listens to the flow of the market, understands human psychology, and makes his moves with calm precision. He once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." Let that sink in. Observation isn't laziness or delay. It's deliberate strategy. And this principle doesn't only apply to investing, it applies to everyday life. Picture this. You're in an important meeting. Some people are talking non-stop, eager to push their ideas, interrupting, even arguing to gain control. But in the corner of the room, there's someone else, quiet, composed, just listening. He doesn't rush to speak. He doesn't react emotionally. He simply watches, takes in every word, studies every facial twitch, every gesture, every tension in the air. And when the right moment finally comes, he speaks one single sentence, and it changes the entire course of the discussion. What's the difference? One side reacts, the other side observes. One is controlled by the moment, The other holds the moment in their hands. You might be wondering, how can I develop this power of observation? The answer is simple, but not easy. Learn to be patient. Give yourself space to breathe before responding. When someone insults you, don't fire back immediately. Look at them. What are they really trying to do? Are they trying to trigger you? Do they want to steal your calm? If you don't react, you simply observe, you not only preserve your peace, but you also strip them of the control they crave over your emotions. A wise person doesn't need to say much, nor do they need to respond to everything. They understand people not through arguments, but through observation. And when you master this skill, you'll realize respect doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what you understand while saying nothing at all. Number 4, practice patience. Silence is not avoidance. It's not weakness. In fact, silence is discipline, an invisible armor of self-mastery. It creates mystery and commands respect. The greatest people in history were not always the loudest in the room. They knew when to speak, and more importantly, when not to. That restraint created presence, power, and mystery. In Stoic philosophy, patience and emotional control are pillars of mental strength. And when silence is used wisely, it doesn't just protect you, it transforms you. It makes others see you as calm, steady, and unshakable. There's a strange truth in human psychology. We are drawn to the unknown, to those who don't speak much, but still carry gravity. It's not big speeches or dramatic gestures that create mystery. It's emotional discipline, the ability to stay calm, still, and quiet when the world demands a reaction. When you stay silent in moments of pressure, you're not weak, you're in control. And people notice. They wonder, what is he thinking? Why doesn't she react? That mystery builds authority. Take Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher. He lived through slavery and cruelty, yet he never let suffering dominate his mind. One story tells how, when his master twisted his leg until it snapped, Epictetus didn't scream. He didn't beg. He simply said, "You see, my leg is broken." No anger, no fear, no complaint. That silence wasn't submission, it was power. A silent refusal to let pain control his spirit. The mind is untouchable, and when you realize this, you become invincible. Real strength isn't about reacting to every insult. It's about staying unmoved when provoked. And in doing so, you make others pause. You make them question what gives you that power. That curiosity, that mystery, it builds quiet authority. So how do we reach that state? Through mindfulness. By watching your thoughts and emotions without obeying them. By remembering that not everything deserves a response. Not every situation needs your reaction. Those who master their emotions often have the strongest presence. They walk into a room and everyone turns, not because they speak loudly, but because they don't need to. Think of the world's most respected leaders. They don't shout to be heard. They can lead with a glance. They don't let emotions make their decisions, and they know sometimes saying nothing is the most powerful move. In a world obsessed with noise and attention, the one who controls their silence is the one who truly stands apart. Keanu Reeves doesn't need to boast or explain himself. He lets his actions speak. His quiet presence, deep eyes, and humble demeanor naturally earn admiration. It's that silence that creates a powerful aura, not loud, but commanding. And when Reeves finally speaks, even if it's just a short sentence, people listen, not out of obligation, but out of respect. But silence doesn't mean weakness. or retreat. In fact, it shows great strength, the kind that comes from within. In Stoic philosophy, Seneca once said, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings." That quote captures a profound truth. Silence isn't just a technique, but a result of deep personal growth. Those who understand the value of silence are often the ones who've gone through enough to realize that wisdom doesn't always need words. Sometimes, what shows your strength the most is what you choose not to say. Instead of constantly trying to fill the silence, try this: observe more, speak less. In every conversation, focus on listening. Let the silence be a space to understand, to reflect, and to respond more wisely. And learn this skill, knowing when to stay quiet. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every insult needs a reaction. Truly successful people don't speak just to prove themselves. They let their composure do the talking. Because when you stay silent at the right moments, you not only protect your dignity, you make others think twice about the power behind your presence. If you've made it this far, thank you. It shows that you're not just listening, you're growing. You already understand that true strength isn't about arguing louder. It's about mastering your emotions. But don't stop now. Keep digging deeper into the art of composure. A quality that not only attracts attention, but earns long-lasting respect. And if you're serious about learning how to build that kind of respect, the quiet kind that people don't forget, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. That way, you won't miss what's coming next. Let's move on to rule number 6. Make others respect you through calmness. When someone can stay composed under pressure, they not only shield their mind from negativity, they also gain the quiet respect of others. Why? Because it's widely understood. If you can control yourself, you can control the situation. Just look at how Barack Obama embodied calmness in communication. Throughout his presidency, he faced relentless pressure from the media, from critics, from political adversaries. And yet, not once did he lose his composure in public. When attacked, he didn't react with rage. When provoked, he didn't let emotions hijack his words. Instead, he responded with purposeful silence, with unwavering eye contact, with a voice calm, firm, and deliberate. That emotional discipline wasn't weakness, it was strength. And it's part of why he earned such deep respect around the world. So, how do we bring that kind of calm into our daily lives? First, realize this: you don't have to react to everything. Not every word deserves a reply. Not every insult warrants your attention. When someone tries to get under your skin, pause, breathe, feel the emotion, but don't act on it. Don't glare with fury. Just observe with calm. Because staying calm isn't just a way to avoid conflict. It's a display of emotional intelligence, a symbol of dignity. The fewer impulsive reactions you have, the more power and respect you command. And in those rare moments when you choose silence over shouting, composure over chaos, that's when your presence speaks the loudest. Even without saying a word. 7. Silence helps avoid conflicts and conserve energy. Silence is not weakness. It's a deliberate strategy, a protective shield for your peace of mind in a world constantly buzzing with drama and meaningless confrontation. We live in an age where everyone wants to speak, to be heard, to defend their views even when it's not necessary. A single offhand comment can trigger a full-blown argument. A personal opinion can escalate into a digital war zone on social media. But those who understand the power of silence know not every situation deserves a response. Think of the ancient samurai. They didn't draw their swords for petty matters. They only acted when absolutely necessary. True strength doesn't come from winning every fight. It comes from knowing when to stay silent, when to walk away, and when to preserve your most precious resource, your energy. In arguments, most people rush to defend themselves. They want to be right. But pause for a second and ask yourself, what? Does that victory cost you? You might win the debate, but lose your peace. You might silence someone with logic, but damage the relationship, and you're left drained, tense, frustrated. That's not a win, it's an uneven trade. The wise don't engage in battles where the only reward is exhaustion. Picture this, you're in a meeting. A colleague challenges you with a sharp remark. You can fire back or stay quiet and observe. If you choose silence, you throw them off. They expected a reaction. Now they're uneasy. Meanwhile, you remain composed, in control, untouchable. That's the silent power of restraint. It doesn't just calm the storm, it commands respect. Those who master their emotions know their mental energy is sacred. They don't waste it on ego battles. They listen more. They observe longer. And when they speak, it's intentional. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Because sometimes, silence isn't retreat, it's strategy. A true leader isn't the loudest voice in the room. They don't feel the need to dominate every conversation or impress others with eloquent speeches. In fact, real leadership often begins with silence. Why? Because true power comes not from how much you speak, but from how well you listen. Silence isn't a weakness. It's a mark of restraint, wisdom, and inner strength. While others fight for attention, those who can stay calm and silent often hold the most influence. They don't react impulsively. They observe, they listen, they reflect, and only then they respond with clarity and purpose. This quiet composure separates a person who craves attention from a leader who earns respect. Take Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, as a clear example. Unlike Steve Jobs, who was known for his sharp and outspoken personality, Cook leads with a more thoughtful presence. In meetings, he listens first. He gives others space to share their views, absorbs every perspective, and then speaks only when it truly matters. His silence is not absence, it's intention, and that's what makes his leadership so impactful. Silence has helped him build a team where people feel respected and understood. It's a quiet strength that builds trust. When you don't speak too much, your words carry more weight when you finally do. Powerful leaders let their actions speak louder than promises. They don't say, "I'll do it." They simply do it. And people follow not because of what they said, but because of what they consistently showed in conflict. Silence gives you control instead of being controlled by emotion. In negotiation, silence creates space and, sometimes, the other side to reveal their true intentions. When managing a team, silence helps you observe who's actually doing the work and who's just talking. But remember, silence is not passivity. It's not about staying quiet forever. A strong leader knows when to listen and when to speak. That's the real difference between a follower and a leader knowing the right time for both. So look around you. Who are the ones talking non-stop but doing so little? And who are the ones who say little, but when they speak, people listen? Most importantly, which one do you want to become? Tell me in the comments. Have you ever used silence as a tool in your own life or work? I'd love to hear your story. Imagine this: total isolation. No phone buzzing, No screens flashing. Just you, your thoughts, and a few good books. That's how some of the world's most influential minds spend their quiet hours. They read, they reflect, and through that solitude, they make decisions that shape history. But here's the truth. You don't need to be a billionaire or a genius to apply this principle in your own life. The moments you spend in silence aren't wasted. They are powerful investments, not into business or success, but into yourself. When the world quiets down, your inner voice grows louder. Something profound is unfolding inside you, a transformation that's only possible when distractions fade. You start to notice more. The subtle shifts in tone when someone speaks, the meaning behind a quiet smile, the emotions behind unspoken words. Without the pressure to respond, you begin to truly observe. And even more importantly, in that silence, you finally begin to hear yourself. The thoughts you've buried, the dreams you've postponed, the plans you've avoided. Now they surface, demanding your attention. This is when real clarity arrives. This is where you realign with your purpose. It's no coincidence that high achievers carve out time daily to sit still, to read, or simply reflect. Silence, to them, isn't just rest. It's a discipline, a recharge, a reset. But silence is more than a tool. It's a signal, a quiet but undeniable sign of strength. Because in a world addicted to noise, the one who can stay silent commands presence. Weak minds try to fill every pause with words, but the strong, they choose their silence carefully, letting it give weight to what they eventually say. So don't fear silence, embrace it. Make it a non-negotiable part of your routine. Give yourself at least 30 minutes a day to read, to journal, or just to be still. This simple act will not only sharpen your mind, it will fortify your soul. People around you will sense it, that inner power, even when you say absolutely nothing. And once you master silence, you'll face a new question. When should you break it? Because silence is powerful, but using the right words at the right moment, that is the ultimate art.